Evening, everyone, and welcome to the Family Conversation. We are your hosts, the Alfred family.
And I'm Dr. Caius, and this is my wife,
Sara. Alfred, we are so delighted to share another evening with you from our home on our Facebook Live platform, the Family Conversation. This forum is dedicated to strengthening marriages, family relationships, and to help parents and congregation impart strong Christian values to their children.
and here we discuss family matters in a conversational way, and we always invite your participation. So feel free to comment and ask your questions. And tonight in particular, we really want you to give us a lot of feedback, ask your questions, and let's have it together.
Okay, let us pray. Loving Lord, we want to thank you for your goodness and your love, your mercy towards us. Throughout the day, we thank you for what you've provided, for all that you've provided for us. We thank you for another opportunity to be on this platform tonight. We pray that you would be, all those who would be listening, may they receive a blessing. And as we interacted this evening, may the information that we will discuss would be one that would help us to have better families, we pray, for Christ's sake.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Of course, lately we have been talking about the differences between um, the male and the female, between the woman and the man, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, the differences that exist between them and how it is affecting relationships. And we've been telling you quite a bit about, the need for you to understand this. Now, regardless of whatever is causing the distinction, whether they be issues of nature, whether it is because of the way we have been socialized, regardless of what, at this point in time, of course, I'm not contending those issues. We are just different. Whether these differences, we can minimize it with better socialization, yes, whatever the case is. But as it exists currently, there's a difference between the orientation, okay, of the man and that of the woman. And this needs to be understood because it plays itself in the relationship between the two between the two. And so it is very important to note this. Yes.
Now, just before we go into our discussion tonight, we want to apologize for not being there. Our last two Monday nights, we were engaged in other activities and we weren't able to be with you. So we are happy tonight that we are able to be back on stream and that we can share important information with you. So thank you for joining us.
And I should take the opportunity to say that we are extremely grateful for the feedback and the responses that we are receiving from you, how much you enjoy the program and how it has been beneficial. I have comments from, different parts of the world, and we do appreciate this. And I just want you to know that you make things better for us. You make it better for us as you interact and as you give feedback. And your experiences and your input will go a long way in helping others and will also help people know that we are all alike. We have common conditions and there are common, situations, and that we can use, our resources to help one another. I think that's extremely important. Okay, so as I said, so far we've been talking about some of remember we spoke about the common complaints that men make and the common complaints that women make in relationships. Okay, on the one hand, the women say that, men complain that women are always trying to change them, and the men often criticize them, and they're uncomfortable with this. They make them feel as if they're a little boy or a little child. That's what they say. And then the women's complaint is that men don't listen. Remember?
Yeah,
Yes,
they
what you
complain
said.
that men
Yes.
don't listen, but they also complain that the men sometimes want to treat them like a little child as well. So we have it coming from both sides.
Mhm.
You understand me? And this is something, it has to do sometimes with our upbringing, the way we were treated, the way we were trained, what we saw happening around us. We tend to bring those things into our home because this is what really shape us. So if we grew up in a home where persons used to always talk down at us, we go and we do the same thing to the other person that we meet. And you can even see it in our childhood years, the way we would respond to our friends when something happened, or whether it's a joke, or the way we would speak would tell anyone a lot about us and our upbringing.
Yes. But you know what I find challenging is that these differences, because of how each person is managing the difference, each person feels the other person doesn't love.
Sometimes.
Okay, well, I agree it's sometimes, but when you don't understand it, often the conclusion is that this person doesn't love me, or the persons feel like, especially ladies, they do feel emotionally abandoned. They feel that the man is not reaching out and expressing affection.
Now,
Yes.
ladies, let's be honest. Let's be honest. And I don't want you to just support me because I'm a lady, but I want you to just be honest about the situation. Very often when you are settled in a relationship, most men, not all, tend to engage in other activity and forget about you. Isn't that true? I want some response from you. For those of you who are already online and you all are listening, tell me if it's not true. They find themselves engaged and helping all of the people and doing things for all of the people, busy, busy, busy. Not that they're lazy, but they are just not mindful too much about you because you're already there and like they already have you. So where else do you go? So they keep going and do other things. Not that they may be running wild or anything, but they find themselves engaged in other activities, and you seem to be left out of the picture.
Yeah, because ladies expect to be caressed, to be shown affection. They want to know that you hug them, you kiss them, you tell them you love them, you tell them that they are nice. Some of the things that you're doing during the dating period.
Compliment
All
always
right.
pays off, and they
Yes.
know that the men know that people. If you always compliment your wife and you always, do this little beefing up, you'll find yourself being a happier man. So it is important, men, to just do what you must.
Yeah, so men just feel that's no longer necessary. They're not dating. I don't say it is right, men. I'm just saying the men just believe that, well, they were doing that when they were dating to attract the bait. Okay, well, to use the bait to attract the prized possession. Now that they have it, they don't feel that they need to do that again.
Well, there you go, and that's why we are coming off the hook because what really attracted us or what really kept us going is no longer. So because of that, you find that our response to the men begins to change. And they feel, well, we are not paying much attention to them again, but not realizing that the bait that they sent, they are no longer feeding you with that bait. It has been withdrawn from you. And so because of that, you too now have to respond. It's automatic in another way because you are not being satisfied. It's just like someone, and I like to use my object lesson. It's just like someone who always got food when they came to your home, and all of a sudden they are no longer getting anything. You seem to be so mean and hard. This person will eventually stop coming.
They see a difference.
They see the difference. And it is the same thing in any relationship, whether it be a husband and a wife, or in-laws and the in-laws, I mean you and your in-laws all together, or even your siblings. And then that's why people can tell when you are not emotionally happy. They can tell because the reaction, the behavior is a lot different from when you are happy. And it is that good bit that keeps us happy. And so when it is withdrawn from us, we too, in like manner, automatically behave a little differently. And you will complain, I'm still hungry, I'm still missing food, you know? And so it's not our fault, but it's really the men's fault. They need to do what they must.
Yeah, but as the ladies complain, then
it's not complaining.
well, I mean, you complain and say what you need, but you know the men don't respond to the complaint kindly. They feel that they are being attacked. They feel that they are inept. They are not competent. And men who don't understand give you word when you are complaining. They try to be defensive and they say all kinds of things that are very unsavory, and it creates toxicity in the relationship rather than toxicity the relationship becomes toxic. All right. And they find the environment become very uncomfortable. Sometimes you can have emotions being withdrawn, or there's a constant bickering and constant argument, or the thing that you ask, you don't get it. And it creates a really, really difficult situation. And the wife can interpret that she's no longer loved, she's no longer needed in the relationship. She can blame herself sometimes and feel that she cannot treat. She don't know how to treat. She doesn't know how to treat her husband, or she can go into depression. There are a number of things that can happen when people feel emotionally deprived of what they anticipated and what they expected in the relationship. Later on, we will tell you how to manage this. But these are some of the challenges. I'm not saying, men, that you are right. Sometimes you prioritize your work and your responsibilities above the relationship. But you do it, you tell yourself you're doing it because you want to provide for the home, you want to take care, but in the whole process, you're neglecting the family, neglecting the relationship, and you want your wife to understand that and accept it. This doesn't go out well.
Now I'm happy you're hearing from a man. So, men, when your wife say that they need certain things, you just have to realize that you have cut short on what you are supposed to do, and do not take it as a criticism. Do not take it as if somebody is trying to change you. It is just a reminder of what you once used to do and you are no longer doing it. Now, in the initial stage, no one asked or nobody had really asked you to say, to do. This was the introduction. This was the introduction that you got into the relationship. And so because of that, it is difficult, or it is it is not very nice when you hear that the man is saying you are trying to change him. He has changed. He no longer do, he does not do what he once used to do.
Yes, and
so you just reminding him that, this is what you need to do, but you're not forcing a change on him.
Yeah. So this is often misunderstood. The best intention of the female is misunderstood. The action of the man is misunderstood in the whole throw of things, where this misunderstanding happens. Then it breeds suspicion, it breeds a lot of ill feeling and ill will towards the relationship. And I hope that you can understand what I've shared here and the need for us to put concerted effort to change that situation. If not, it can polarize some people so badly that they may separate, or one person might go into depression, or they may just feel out of love and then just abandon the relationship. So it is very important to understand these things. I believe to a large extent, folks do not understand these dynamics. Okay, let's take a little time to greet some of our regular friends.
Okay, we want to say good night to you, Martha Monrose and Chin Imbert, Jonas Nason, Det Nason, Derek Noel, Teresa Johnny, Petula Johnny. We are happy that you join us tonight. I know as we go along, other person will join us and maybe they missed us for two nights, and so they maybe think we are no longer there. But we are there because we really want to share this information with you so that your family can become a better family. Some of the things that we share with you are some of the things that we went through or are going through. And as we get the solutions, as we see how it can be worked out in family to make our families happier, we share those information with you. I mean, after 40 long years, there is a lot that we would have learned through that journey. And so because of that, we are willing to share this information so that other persons can benefit from what we have learned, during our journey.
Yep. And of course, you learn from other people too.
There we go.
You know, from your practice, meeting with different situations, you're able to identify with some of them, and you know some of the things that have worked, some of the things that you have shared, the counsel that you have shared with others, how
Or the
the
counsel that you
relationship
have
have received as well, and how these things have really changed the relationship altogether. Therefore, it becomes, you know, important resource that you can share. And of course, I don't believe I know everything. I'm sure that there are folks who have experiences that have worked for them, and they can also share it.
Not only that, some of the comments that you've made in the past, they have been so salient that we too benefit from this information. So it's really a sharing. That's why we call it the family conversation. So we can interact with each other and share important information. But let me just pause a while to say good night to Jean, Isaac, Ruth Morian. Oh, thank you for joining us. And that's my sister here. And we have Mahalia Lawrence as well. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, these have been a constant staple on the family conversation. So we are very delighted to have you. Now, we were talking about the how people interpret, how the couples sometimes interpret the situation. Um, and apart from that, as we said, remember the last time we spoke, we were talking about sometimes men, um, when a woman comes and open up to them and tell them some of the things that are affecting them, they always quick to give solution. Remember we were talking about that, and the ladies are not looking for solutions at that time. They're looking for what? More empathy and, you know, a little bit of understanding, more listening ear, the people say, right? And if you speak to a lot of people, that's what they tell you. They're not telling you these things so that you can advise them. What they want is to be listened to. And of course, in our practice, we call that validation of the person's feelings and gives a little bit of more exercise compassion and empathy so that you really trying to understand the person and letting them know that you are hearing and you know and somehow identifying with the feelings that they are expressing, so the person realizes that you are caring, you are concerned, and that means more to the individual than to give them an advice.
Okay, so sometimes a woman might ask her husband to maybe do certain things for her in the house, certain chores. And some men, not all, because he's not this way, but I know of other persons who are different, would find that um, they want to avoid these things and these things are not for them. And again, it goes back to your upbringing, the way you were cultured from your home or even the environment, the community that you grew up. If you realize that men were always not doing those things, they were left outside to play from little boys, always have that free time, not doing anything in the home. When they get to their home, they tend to behave the same way. And so if you have a wife who would come to you and ask you to give some help, then sometimes the men get annoyed or they get angry or they are dissatisfied with these kinds of requests from their wife. And sometimes the wife is just asking this thing so that you would spend a little more time in the home with them whilst you are doing those things.
Right.
But, sometimes it's very often misinterpreted, and the men would think that you are telling them what to do and how to do what. And,
or complaining. Men treat it as you complaining,
right.
and
But
they are not carrying out their duties. They are not competent, so they feel it challenges them, and it annoys. So I can tell you, that's a common complaint. But I think it is more than them just wanting you to share in the house chores that is important, but the quality time doing things together is the greater request or the unspoken request. All right. And then and for them, that shows love and affection. And when that is neglected, more than just not doing the house chore, it feels as if that they are being neglected or they are not priority in your life. Now, it does not matter how much you spend time working, okay, and working extra hours to provide food on the table. You must remember, and I must tell men that while those things are important, as long as you have a family, you must learn to balance yourself. Do not justify your reason for wanting to stay out of your home and focusing on work that you want to accomplish. It is not right. Okay, you have a family, you have to balance your life. In fact, it was I think Steve Covey who said it this way. He says that if you really want to take a look at your life and to find out what to drop out and what to neglect, just imagine that you are dead and you're listening to your eulogy. What is it that co-workers have to say about you? What is it that your children have to say about you? What is it that your wife or your husband has to say about you? Okay? And what other people and colleagues have to say about you. These things will remind you of some of the things that you have to pay attention to and some of the things you don't. And he made another striking statement, and it says that very often, if you ask men in particular, what is the most important thing in life to them, they also always say family. What will be willing to die for? Family. But while they posit this, the time commitment and what they do in the home and what they do with the family does not show that the family is priority.
now, ladies, we're getting from a man, and I want you to converse with us. Make your points. We are looking forward towards these points because this is where the conversation gets a lot sweeter. So we are hoping that you will make your comments tonight.
Okay, so it's very important. So I think it would be nice to share with you on what can be done to address the situation. How do you work with these differences? How do you work with those challenges? Okay, because we've stated most of them before. So how do you work with these challenges? I would say that first of all, both of you need to approach the relationship with the understanding that you are not perfect and that no matter how much you think you know about relationship, you are not perfect, and that you need to grow with each other. You need to spend quality time discovering and exploring life with each other, and then tell yourself that you have to make adjustment along the way. If you tell yourself that is who I am and that nobody's going to change me, I think that is the wrong attitude, and you are setting yourself up for real hardship in the relationship. So you must approach it with the understanding that you're exploring, you're growing together, and that you have to make adjustment. You need to listen to each other and make adjustment.
Like what you just said, we are growing together. So if we are growing, there must be changes. There is no plant that would be growing and it would remain just the same way. You know, it grows, it becomes different, it has more leaves, more branches, and eventually it may even bear fruit. So if we have to look at our relationship as a plant and we are growing, changes will take place. And the changes that are to take place would not be changes that would be adverse to your relationship. It should be one that would help to foster a better relationship.
Because I can just remember myself. Let me say it this way: marriage has caused significant changes in my life, and these changes have been for the better. Of course, at the time when I was going through some of them, they had their challenges. But upon hindsight, looking back, yeah, I have been better for it. Because I remember those days when I used to dress in my mind. I was matching colors, boy. I thought I was really matching colors. And those days, my wife would tell me, this thing don't match. This is not looking good. Now, I couldn't see the reason behind it. I didn't agree, but I tried to accommodate. So you know what I used to tell myself? I just want to dress to match with my wife. But in my mind, I thought my colors were okay. But if in the process of time, you begin to realize that it was just, maybe we are colorblind, or if we are not colorblind, we are colored impaired.
Okay, now that's a simple one. That's
Yeah.
easy to make adjustments, and you don't think anything is rubbing against you, really. But sometimes in our own personality, in our own character, there are things that would rub hard against the other. And when we would make those necessary changes, we would realize that our relationship would get a lot better, a lot sweeter. We'll be a lot happier in our relationship than if we just try to hold on to what we knew before or the way we used to do things before. We need to be open and be willing to change, changes that would be necessary. Not everything that you would have to change. Sometimes it's just you have to tweak it a little bit. Sometimes you really have to let go of that thing, but it will not have